The night was dark and heavy as Sam's car sped down the winding highway. He had been driving for hours, the only company being the rhythmic hum of his engine and the distant rumble of thunder. Rain lashed at his windshield, creating a surreal dance of watery streaks. With every mile that passed, the world seemed to shrink, and Sam couldn't help but feel like he was descending into a different dimension. He checked his dashboard clock, which read 2:37 a.m. The town he was aiming for was still a good hour away, and he hadn't seen another vehicle in what felt like an eternity. The tension in the car was palpable, and Sam couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. The rain grew heavier, obscuring his vision even further. He needed gas soon, and the red warning light on his dashboard made that fact inescapable. Finally, the glow of neon lights pierced through the torrential downpour. A flickering sign appeared on the horizon: Morgan's Gas and Amp Grocery. Sam pulled into the small gas station, the rain pelting his car with renewed fury. The place was a relic from the past, a time capsule of 1950s Americana. It was eerily quiet, and the only sound was the rain on the roof and the faint buzzing of the gas station's neon sign. As Sam stepped out of his car, a chill ran down his spine. The attendant's booth was unoccupied, and the air smelled musty, as if it hadn't been aired out in years. He approached the pump, and the metallic clinking of the bell above the door marked his entrance into the tiny convenience store. The fluorescent lights overhead flickered, casting eerie shadows on the faded linoleum floor. Sam's footsteps echoed through the store as he browsed the dimly lit shelves. The place seemed frozen in time, with ancient cans of soup and faded product labels, as if it had been forgotten by the rest of the world. He reached for a candy bar, the only modern item on the shelf, but hesitated. The unease was growing stronger, and he felt as though the silence held secrets too dark to reveal. In the corner of the store, an old rotary phone hung on the wall. Its dusty, broken receiver dangled by a frayed cord. Sam couldn't help but feel that something was very wrong here, but he couldn't quite put his finger on it. As he turned to leave, he glanced outside at his car, and there, for a fleeting moment, he thought he saw a figure standing in the rain, watching him. With a shiver down his spine, Sam paid for the gas and left the store, determined to continue his journey. But the feeling of being watched clung to him, an ominous prelude to the night ahead. The road stretched on endlessly as Sam continued his journey into the heart of the storm. The rain had taken on a malevolent quality, drumming insistently on the car roof like a million skeletal fingers, and the wind howled like a vengeful spirit. The gas station's eerie atmosphere still weighed on his mind, and the image of the figure outside haunted his thoughts. As he drove deeper into the night, he began to hear faint whispers, barely audible over the cacophony of rain. It was as though the very storm itself was trying to communicate. His grip on the steering wheel tightened as the whispering grew more distinct. He strained to make out the words. They seemed to be saying, turn back," over and over again, a persistent and unsettling mantra that seemed to echo from the very depths of the tempest. Sam's heart raced, and he glanced in the rearview mirror, but the darkness revealed nothing. The road ahead stretched into obscurity, the headlights futilely slicing through the unrelenting rain. He felt a growing sense of dread, as if the world around him was unraveling, and he was trapped in a nightmare. The town he had been heading for should have been nearby, but he couldn't see any sign of civilization through the rain-soaked windshield. The whispered entreaties persisted, growing louder, more insistent. Panic gnawed at his senses, and he contemplated heeding the ominous voices, turning back and leaving this cursed stretch of road behind. Just as the urge to flee became nearly irresistible, Sam's headlights fell upon a twisted, gnarled tree by the roadside, its branches contorted into grotesque shapes. In the brief moment his gaze was drawn to the sinister tree, the whispers suddenly ceased. The world was plunged into silence once more. With a racing heart, Sam continued to drive forward, desperate to escape this surreal night. The encounter at the gas station, the phantom figure, and the relentless whispers had left him shaken and bewildered. He couldn't shake the feeling that the storm itself was alive, and it had something sinister to convey. As he pressed on, the distant lights of the small town finally began to materialize through the rain-slicked windshield, like a beacon in the night. His relief was palpable, and he yearned for the comfort of familiar streets and welcoming faces. However, the sense of foreboding remained, an unshakable shadow looming over his journey. The worst was yet to come, and he was merely on the threshold of the horrors that awaited him in this enigmatic town. As Sam navigated the decaying streets of the town, the malevolent presence weighed heavily upon him. He was trapped in a nightmare he couldn't escape. The whispers had grown into a relentless cacophony, now almost audible in the howling wind and pounding rain. They demanded his departure, but it was as though the town itself conspired to ensnare him. Desperation overcame him, and he turned down a narrow alley, hoping to find a way out. The town's eerie residents, the tortured souls of the past, seemed to close in on his car, their mournful faces contorted with sorrow. With each turn, the building seemed to grow taller and more menacing, closing in around him. The streets themselves twisted and contorted, leading him deeper into the heart of the town, away from any semblance of escape. Sam's heart raced, and he felt the presence of the entity that had drawn him here tightening its grip. The road before him seemed to stretch endlessly into a dark abyss. Sam was now certain that the town was cursed, a place where time and reality had fractured. He was not the first to be ensnared, and he wouldn't be the last. The whispers coalesced into a single, malevolent voice, which echoed in his mind. "You should have turned back, Sam." Suddenly, the road came to an end, opening into a vast, empty square. At its center stood a towering, ancient oak tree, its gnarled branches outstretched like skeletal fingers, reaching for him. The whispers grew deafening, and the shadowy figures closed in around his car. Panic seized him, and in his desperation, he slammed on the gas, careening toward the tree. Just as the car was about to collide with the tree, the world seemed to shatter. Reality itself fractured, and Sam's perception of time unraveled. He became one with the town's cursed history, forever bound to the entity that had lured him in. Now he is just another spectral resident of the town, his spirit forever entangled with the malevolent entity that ensnared him. He drives endlessly through the town's shadowy streets in his ghostly car, a lost soul, unable to escape the horrors of the past. His existence is a torment, a perpetual perpetual nightmare that will never end. The town remains a forsaken place, hidden from the living, a trap where those who dare to enter are forever lost to the haunting entity's embrace.